Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Building Subtext. Today I want to talk about how you can very easily get started by just focusing on the four through lines of a complete story. So what are the four through lines? Very quickly, if you were to look at the 560 plus unique narrative structures that are in Subtext, you will see that these are story forms that are an arrangement of the thematic elements running underneath the story, the subtext of the story. It's not the actual dialogue and the action that you read. So this is not something that's trained on screenplays and then somehow you can write the same kind of story and that kind of stuff. It's more about understanding what the story was about, who are the players in it, who was for it, who was against it, how did that all work out? It creates this really complex thematic schematic of relationships between thematic items that then communicates the message from the author to the audience. So this is all really super complicated, but we just want to look at the four through lines. The Abyss is a great example of the four through lines. You have the objective story plot, which is about the world on the brink of Armageddon. Remember, there's a downed nuclear sub and, it's going to blow up a bunch of aliens, which they find out later and they're going to fix it and all that stuff. So the world's on the brink of destruction. And then the main character, Ed Harris, Bud, is the leader of the rig that's down there, and he's got to keep everything together. So that's his personal issues that he's dealing with. And then along comes Lindsay, who is very much a go-getter, just jumps into everything, and she's his obstacle character, which means she has a completely different way of resolving conflict that doesn't really gel with Bud. They both don't see eye to eye. And the way a complete story works is the main character and the obstacle character come together, they fight, and then at the end of the story, one or the other switches to the other's point of view. In the Abyss, Lindsay eventually ends up adopting Bud's point of view. It could be either way, but you don't want both change. It'll just break your story. And then the last through line is the relationship, which is about the growth of a relationship over time. Not about the individuals, but about what exists between them and the emergent properties that are there between them that then grows throughout the narrative. And here it's their marriage. So that's why this story feels so complete and why you can keep coming back to it all the time, because you're getting that complete narrative that has all four through lines addressed. So when you're getting started, if you wanted to write something that was like The Abyss, you could just say, first, I should show you where I'm at. You go into Subtext, Story Central, which is kind of like the central dashboard, and then you just open up Muse here. So if I go to Muse, then I can just do, I want to write a sci-fi film like The Abyss. Can you help? And that's it. You don't even need to go open up any of the other pages in Subtext. You can just jump right into Muse and just ask it, and it knows everything there is to know about The Abyss in terms of how all the narrative dynamics work. And then it will help you understand The Abyss first, that you can then use to building your own next story. For instance, the objective story through line, which I just described, revolves around a global crisis triggered by the sinking of the USS Montana and the subsequent discovery of non-terrestrial intelligence. Is perfect. So it says, here's the objective story for The Abyss. Now, consider your story. Consider setting your story against a backdrop of a global or interstellar crisis that threatens humanity. This could involve an artifact discovered on Mars, been done a million times, a mysterious signal from deep space, or a technological anomaly on Earth that hints at extraterrestrial origins. Perfect. All three of those fit based on the objective story. The key is to create a scenario where the stakes are high, involving a diverse group of characters. All right, that's storytelling. Let's go to the main character. Virgil is the heart of The Abyss with his personal journey of leadership, sacrifice, and transformation. Wonderful. Your story, so then if you want that same kind of essence to it, your main character should be someone with a personal stake in the crisis, perhaps a scientist or an astronaut with a troubled past or a personal connection to the mystery at hand. Wonderful. That's actually really cool. Then the obstacle character. Then it will explain to you what I just explained, which is that Lindsay is the obstacle, and she has an alternative perspective. She's not this head seal guy, that the Michael Biehn character, who's the antagonist. She is the obstacle character. It's the emotional, quote unquote, antagonist of the narrative. Her scientific curiosity and insistence on joining the mission push Bud to confront his own fears and prejudices. Your obstacle character could be someone with a contrasting viewpoint or approach to the main character, such as a rival scientist, a government agent with a hidden agenda, or even an alien. I like government agent with human agenda. But you see, it's like taking the story form of the Abyss and then giving you something to build off of. And then finally, it talks about the estranged marriage between Bud and Lindsay and how that forms the emotional core of the Abyss. The relationship story through line is the heart of the narrative, which it says right here. The relationship at the heart of your story should explore the emotional journey between two characters forced together by the crisis. This could be a romantic relationship, a mentor-protege dynamic, or a friendship that evolves over the course of the story. I might take it somewhere different and just do friendship. The key is to show how the external crisis impacts and ultimately transforms their relationship. By using these through lines as a guide, you can craft a sci-fi film that captures the essence of the Abyss while exploring new territories and themes. Remember, the strength of your story will come from how well intertwined these narrative threads. That's the art part. That's where the storyteller comes in and really puts it all together. So that's all I wanted to go over, the 4 through lines and how you can just throw in any film that's in here. If you just saw Saltburn, you could throw that in there. If you really liked Unforgiven, you could throw that in there. If you liked Casablanca, whatever sort of film that inspires you, but you want to take it into a different direction, different setting, all kinds of different things. Once you understand how all the narrative thematics work together, you don't even need to look at anything else. You can just build it based on what is most compelling to you and what your artist's intention, what your heart is telling you, what kind of story you want to tell. But this is the quickest, easiest way to get into it. It teaches you the 4 through lines, which are the key to really taking narratives to a completely different place that most people don't even go to. And I hope that all makes sense. And if you have any questions about it, please leave comments below or get in touch with me. Otherwise, I will see you next time.